Well, I managed to get all the way through episode one of season two of Peacemaker. We got some stuff to discuss about that. Um, if that episode is an any indication that this man does not belong on the WPD studio lot or anywhere near DC, I don't know what we can tell you that will make you believe that otherwise. Let's talk about it on the debrief.
I'm too old for this shit.
All right, thank you so much for joining me on the Lethal Geeks debrief. My name is Sergeant Murtaugh. Well, fresh off the heels of his Superman film, James Gunn has managed to tackle his Peacemaker season two. The first episode is controversial to say the least. Um, I managed to get through it. I got to the part where the orgy happened, and I almost turned it off from there. I literally got a migraine when it got to that part, and it just went on for way too long. But we're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna try to. I'm not gonna spoil anything really in it. I'm just gonna give you the basic setup and go through, as much as I possibly can for what I saw and what I could get through. Suffice it to say, I won't be watching this again at all.
This case stinks.
So the setup pretty much is Peacemaker, Hardcore, and I think her name is Ala Bajaya, something like that. So all three of them are basically out of a job due to the events that happened in Peacemaker season one. Ala Bajaya, I think that's her name. Somebody correct me in the comments. I don't remember what her name is, but she picks him up. He's basically going for a job interview. That's where he meets, James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord. Hawk Girl is there. Green Lantern is there. So it's the same usual banter between them. It's nothing really that stands out as far as his writing goes. His writing is juvenile.
You hear that? That's you. Don't do it, man. Keep that dirty dick in your pants.
So that's about all I can say about it. It's just juvenile writing. They were going back and forth with each other, vomiting up exposition like they normally do. So that the whole thing went on there in the beginning, and then he met Maxwell Lord, Sean Gunn, and Hawk Girl, and Guy Gardner. So during that whole interview, they were basically talking about their asses.
She got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it. Jesus.
And basically talking behind, John Cena's back. Guy Gardner, I guess, messed up the microphone on purpose so the microphone, I guess, could be two-way. And in the end of it, Maxwell Lord asked him if he could hear everything they were saying, and he was basically like, yes. And then the interview was over. It was just more of the same kind of humor. I thought that Flag, he was actually the most serious character in the thing, if you can believe that. Him and his partner was. He didn't crack a smile. It looked like he actually kind of took that whole thing serious. Economos is Economos. He still works for Argus. He's actually working directly under Flag right now, and they're spying on Peacemaker. But basically, Peacemaker's down on his luck, doesn't have a job, wishes life were different. And then he finds these portals. So he goes through, his dad died in the first one. He killed his dad in the first one.
I control you. Whether or not I kill you, you'll never be able to get the fuck away.
He finds these portals, and one of them he walks through has the life that he wanted. I won't spoil anything about that. I won't go any further into it with that, but that basically sets up the I'm assuming the rest of the season. So, highlights. Hardcore, she's down and out, just like Peacemaker is. She is trying to get a job back in government because it's all she knows how to do. That doesn't go well, and you'll see that generally in the beginning of it. Vigilante. He's back. He's got that same job he had before he was, while he was actually in the costume. But I guess he works at like a chicken place or something like that, whatever that restaurant is. But he's back at that job. He's still James Gunn's version of Vigilante, not serious. He calls economos and they shoot the shit about owl knowledge or something like that. Just something just random. That's it. That's pretty much all that was. But the main highlight was basically about Peacemaker, Chris, finding this portal and finding this life that he wished that he had. Some things you'll see that things will ensue that will basically set up that whole premise for how that's going to go for the rest of the show. Let's go ahead and get to the coup de grace, the orgy scene. I cannot believe this man put this in this TV show. A TV show that he said was going to segue into Superman. Or the other way around, however he put that.
You want to tell me about it?
He said that in order to understand and connect the dots with Superman, you have to watch Peacemaker too. And that was his reason for pulling it out of the theater early. 35 days it was in there, by the way. So I don't buy any of that nonsense, number one. But tonally, you can see that there is a problem here. Superman, on the one hand, albeit extremely juvenile, it's childlike. So it has a tone similar to something a child would watch. Even if it did have violence in it and all that other kind of stuff, it still felt like a Saturday morning cartoon.
When the Green Lantern Corps asked me to join Guy Gardner on his latest assignment, I knew it was because they wanted someone around for cleanup should this hothead create another one of his famous messes. Needless to say, this mission involved a lot of cleaning.
Peacemaker, on the other hand, we're going to get to that in a second, is not a Saturday morning cartoon. Peacemaker is admittedly extremely mature. So I'm going to go ahead and just get right into it so I can get it over with. There is an orgy scene in this very first episode. Yes, there is full frontal nudity. Yes, there are simulated acts of sexual depravity. And yes, it goes on way too damn long. I'm questioning how this man got this job.
Where the hell did you get him? Psychos or us?
I really am. And shout out to Aaron Fisher and Harsh Critics because they dropped a couple videos and Aaron was just absolutely going off. Shout out to that brother. Because how were you supposed to sell Peacemaker Season 2 off of Superman when Superman was decidedly a family film, regardless of how immature it was? How are you going to sell that to the same families that watched that Superman film?
What the hell have we gotten into here?
I would love to know that. Post your comments down below. I'd love to know how you would sell that to a family who just saw Superman, who might have liked Superman, despite the drunk Supergirl scene at the end. How are you going to sell that? This was one of the most laziest attempts at trying to garner audience reaction and audience attention that I have ever seen in filmmaking or art of any kind.
Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us.
He could have chosen any other scene or shot any other scene that could still be reflective of what he is trying to say as far as this first episode of Peacemaker goes. This first episode got a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. A 100%.
What the fuck is going on here?
To each his own, and I am not the type of person to get into somebody else's business, but what does that say? That an episode such as this has an orgy scene in it that goes way too long, that has full frontal nudity, that's in slow-mo, of all things. And then they cut away to it and they go back to Economos looking through the windows and you can still see stuff happening. And I'm talking like, this is like adult film type kind of stuff. This is not just simulated sex scenes where you really don't see anything. You see stuff. to the point where it should not be on a TV show that is, according to Gunn, supposed to segue nicely with Superman, which is supposed to mesh nicely with Superman.
I mean, this really, the Superman leads directly into the show. The show happens a month after the events in Superman. There's a lot of the characters, you know, return in the season of Peacemaker. In the very first episode, we have Guy Gardner and Girl Max.
I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I obviously will not be watching this any further. I'm surprised I got through season 1 of Peacemaker. It had elements in it that I did like. I did like Chris's backstory and how he became the person he became when they did that in flashbacks when he killed his brother. That was a nice emotional setup for who the character of Peacemaker actually is. But other than that, everything was pretty much the same. And now with this this second season coming out, I will not, absolutely will not be watching the rest of this.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No. No.
This is James Gunn with the leash and the collar taken off. Imagine if he were still at Marvel and Kevin Feige let him do that. I heard he had to rein him in, as a matter of fact. That's a rumor.
I don't think you're funny.
It is absolutely abysmal that storytelling has come to this. It is absolutely abysmal that a company that used to be the go-to, and I'm talking about Warner Brothers, the go-to for all kind of artists, creatives, especially auteurs, it was the place to be. When you saw that WB logo, when it came up, it meant something. It meant you were in for something good. And now we got James Gunn at the helm, and he has the keys to the kingdom.
See this key? Bye-bye.
It reminds me of an episode of I think it was Family Guy, where Brian the dog, he's a writer. So he writes this book called What I've Learned on Jefferson Street. It's a poignant story, according to him, about a coming of age, I believe it was, and growing up and learning things where they lived. It was focused on that character in that story, and he wanted to turn it into a movie. So he gets it auctioned off, and sure enough, and James Wood plays a character in it. He plays, I guess, the professor. So basically, the premise is they turn his book, which is a serious, thought-provoking book, into a comedy called Class Holes. So instead of What I Learned on Jefferson Street being a poignant, important film, he turns it into Class Holes. And then the tagline that James Wood says is, they do their little comedy thing at the beginning like comedies do. And he says, "What a pain in my class." That is what this reminds me of. Hollywood is in trouble. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys thought of Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 1. Let me know what you thought of the first episode. Did you get through it? Did you manage to choke it down? I barely got through it. Like I said, that orgy scene gave me a headache, and I was just like, wow. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Lethal Geeks Debrief, and I'm through.